Good evening and welcome to the St. Augustine Institute, the UWI St. Augustine Institute for Gender and Development Studies Virtual Open Day. I'm Christine Nanton, Manager of Marketing and Communications here at the campus, and I will be your chair for this evening's proceedings. Thanks to all of you for tuning in this evening. We're happy to have this opportunity to share more about this great West Indian tradition called UWI, and more specifically, our Institute for Gender and Development Studies. Be sure to let us know in the chat that you're locked on and where you're hailing from, whether it be here in Trinidad and Tobago, across the region, or further afield. So let's get started. This evening, we will begin with brief remarks from the head of the Institute, and then we'll move into learning a bit more about the programs of study, both at the undergraduate and postgraduate levels. We will also hear the student perspective and what it's like to be part of the IGDS family. After which we will transition into the Q&A session. Throughout this session, I invite you to share in the chat and we'll address your questions later on. Our moderator will also share any pertinent information there. So the Institute for Gender and Development Studies was established in 1993, and it's an interdisciplinary institute of the UWI with presence on all of the UWI's campuses. At the St. Augustine campus, Dr. Gabrielle Hussain is the head. And to start us off, I invite her to welcome you. Good evening, Dr. Hussain.
Good evening and welcome everyone to our virtual open day at the Institute for Gender and Development Studies. As you've heard, the Institute is a 25-year-old feminist institute of the University of the West Indies in the Global South. And that's a real achievement for the UWI and for the region. We're autonomous, meaning that we don't fit under any faculty, and that's because we are cross-disciplinary and invite cross-disciplinary study and cross-disciplinary research. So we're interested in students who want to think about the sciences, but also from a perspective that involves literature. We're interested in students who want to think about public health, but also want to involve social science research. We're interested in theater students who also are interested in all kinds of scientific and climate questions of the day. So we like that kind of interesting and exciting and innovative collaboration of ideas. And that's a lot of what the IGDS stands for. In being 25 years old, we also are a regional institute. So we are located on the 3 campuses and our coordinating offices in Jamaica. The good thing about being on the 3 campuses is that if you enroll in our courses and in our programs, you get access to faculty from across the campuses of the UWI and across the countries of the region. We're also very well connected in UN circles, as well as in terms of civil society organizations, as well as in terms of state agencies. So when you become an Institute for Gender and Development Studies student, you also get access to our regional networks, as well as our regional mentorship, and of course, the job opportunities that come with it. Gender is increasingly important, not only in our everyday, but in terms of the workplace and in terms of our lives. First of all, gender affects everyone, men, women, boys, and girls. Gender is also increasingly important to global governments and such things as the Sustainable Development Goals. So if you are coming in as a man or a woman into gender studies, you may be thinking about work in a range of fields, from social work to journalism, to corporate social responsibility, to law, and any of those areas. We get a lot of students from psychology, criminology, visual arts, and even some from the medical and medical sciences, and from areas such as agriculture. So even though our world is changing so rapidly, we know that gender is ever more important. It affects everyone, and it also gives us the opportunity to see how we can take those effects and create greater social justice. Final thing I want to say in my introduction about gender is that when you come to the Institute for Gender and Development Studies, our interest is in giving you the skills that you can take out there as a student or as a professional in your field to give you that edge above the rest when you're in the workplace, when you're engaging in conversations about public debates and political life, when you are assessing, the state of the world in terms of economic equality, or even in terms of how we're differently affected by issues of climate change. You can be that person in the room, that voice that is able to intersect those gendered issues with the areas of expertise that you've gone into. And that's going to give you not only an edge above the rest, but a chance to change the conversation, and in so doing be what the University of the West Indies wants to produce, which is a real change maker. At the IGDS, we like to tell our students that we see your spark. We love our students. We invite them in to be a member of the IGDS family. Our classes are ones where we both teach you, but we also mentor you, regardless of the level that you come in at, whether it's as a first-year undergraduate student or postgraduate student. And so with that introduction, we're here to answer your questions. We're here to explore your interest in gender studies with you, and we're here to introduce you to our programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hussain, for that really passionate introduction. And I'm sure that our participants this evening really have gotten a sense of what it's going to be like at the Institute. And so to continue our program this evening, next up, I'd like to welcome Dr. Suan Barrett, who is lecturer at the Institute, and she's going to give us some insights into the offerings available at the undergraduate level. Dr. Barrett?
Thank you very much. Good evening. This evening, to take you through our offerings, I will go through 4 ways that you can, in fact, be a game changer. Who can be a game changer at the IGDS? What you can do to be that game changer, how you can get there, and why you should do so. So stay with me as I go through the possibilities for this really exciting opportunity at the Institute. Now, at the Institute, we have 3 routes to gender studies courses. You can do 2 minors, or you can do a selection of electives. First thing you must know is we have no prerequisites for these minors. So it gives you time and space to explore as many opportunities as possible. However, if you're a student with the Faculty of Education, Humanities and Education, you can do a minor in gender studies. If, however, you're a student with the Faculty of Social Sciences, you can do a minor in gender and development studies. What do you need for these minors? Fundamentally, you need 5 courses. These 5 courses add up to a total of 15 credits. What's the difference between the 2 minors? The Faculty of Social Sciences requires you to pursue a minor that accounts for development issues or with a development focus. Therefore, you will do 3 core courses. 2 of them you will share with your colleagues in the Faculty of Humanities: Feminist Theoretical Frameworks, Sex, Gender, and Society. But as a SOCI student, you will do Gender and Development with reference to the Caribbean Society. Now, if you were a student who were in the humanities, you would do Feminist Theoretical Frameworks and Sex, Gender, and Society, and any other 3 gender studies courses. These I will outline in a moment. What is exciting is you can tailor your minor to your major degree, or you have the opportunity to do more than 1 minor depending on the requirements. So who is welcome at the IGDS? Anyone who wants to pursue gender studies, understanding humanity as we engage with each other, our relationships, our identity. Let's just look at some of the steps you have to take. Before you sign up for any of these minors or our elective courses, you must first verify the course and credit requirements, both for your major and for our minors, whichever minor you've chosen. Visit your faculty office and complete the necessary forms. You can find out more about these forms on our website. Of course, call us, write us, check our website for further details or further advice or through the academic advising process. Ensure that you complete and submit your forms by the end of the registration. And when it comes to that moment to declare your minors, if you have chosen that route, ensure you complete it in good time. Now, let me tell you a little bit more about the courses, because I'm sure you're wondering, well, what are these courses covering? How exciting are they? As I said, we have no prerequisites, but we do recommend that in your first year or further along, you attempt to complete our Intro to Women's Studies course. This course covers theoretical concepts and sources of knowledge about gender, about masculinities and femininities in particular, about women and men, about people who live lives through gendered, sexed bodies. We introduce you to the politics of feminism and feminist epistemology or feminist studies. You get to learn about our history in the Caribbean and globally. You get to do exciting assignments that take you not only through classroom work, but work outside through popular actions. This course is really engaging and exciting, and it sets the stage not only for how you will develop in your minor program or further electives, but it sets the stage for you to really find that spark and that process of changing or being a game changer. So the first introduction, if you've never been exposed, is to come right in and do Intro to Women's Studies, the code JEND 1103. And this one will really lay the groundwork for you. Up next, as I said, if you're in humanities, you have 5 courses. If you're in social sciences, you have 5 courses. You then want to explore theory, because after having that really introductory experience in the first year course, you'll do a second year course called Feminist Theoretical Frameworks. Now that sounds really heavy, but it's not, because basically what it does is make you understand where the thoughts, when you sat at home with your friends, in work, wherever you may be in your relationships, and you said, why is this like this? How is this fair? I always felt that I should explore justice in different ways. Well, it is through this course that you get the language and the explanations to make sense of those things that you always had a hunch about. You always felt, I don't think that I should be spoken to this way by different parties. I don't think I should have to give up my rights. Well, here in Feminist Theoretical Frameworks, you get the explanations why things are the way they are. And that will build on your introduction in the first year course. Now, if you're doing gender and development with reference to the Caribbean, that is a social sciences minor, you would also in your pursuit of the program cover this course. And this course will set you up for, as you step into policymaking, as you step into planning, as you step into extending your social science degree, be it sociology, psychology, social work, criminology. This course helps you bridge that gap, make that link even clearer. So this course is really necessary for you. It's compulsory for social sciences minors, but it is open to others who are taking electives. And of course, it is open as one of those 3 additional courses for those doing minor in gender studies. So those are, and then finally, let me finish the final compulsory course is Sex, Gender, and Society. And I would suggest to you the curiosities, the consequences, the things you've been wondering about your identity, your body embodiment, your engagement with others in terms of sexuality, both in the larger social sense, in terms of your own personal, interpersonal relationships. This course is for you. You want to understand why you have these interactions with people in terms of desire, in terms of pleasure, in terms of sex roles, in terms of roles in the family and beyond. Sex, Gender, and Society really explores this every week you start to explore not just the theoretical, which you got in feminist theoretical frameworks, but definitely the social, the implications. So you will start to see the how and whys coming together. Now, this is a quick overview, but it's an overview to set you up so you see at the core level, the courses at Gender Studies really prepare you well for that game changer role. You can come in, explore your original curiosities in our Intro to Women's Studies course, get your foundation in our core courses, Feminist Theoretical Frameworks, Sex, Gender and Society, and Gender and Development with reference to the Caribbean Society. And then you can explore a number of areas. We have several courses, and as I said, remember that academic advising, remember send us an email or call us. You can do men and masculinities in the Caribbean if you want to explore masculinity and masculinity in terms of relations to femininity, relations between men and women, etc. If you want to explore social media and how gender manifests or how we display ourselves, how we construct these identities, how we tell our stories on social media, and how our gender becomes important in relation to other identities, this is the course for you. It is really exciting. It's a second level course and it adds real scope, just like men and masculinity adds great understanding. You could also do gender, ethnicity, and class, core ideas in our society. We think about how pressing ethnicity, class is in the current environment. We see so much upheaval taking place. And so this course will help you understand the linkages between these things. As an undergraduate student, you have the opportunity to really expand the scope of what you can know. And I'm excited for you, and I know you must be excited as well, because not only do you have these courses, but you also at the undergraduate level, you have an opportunity to be mentored through our IGDS Ignite program, and you have an opportunity to come and share online or through messaging or through interpersonal interaction. Now that we have shifted to blended courses, we have so many opportunities for you. So how do you get into our program? Remember, check your requirements, both for your minor and your major. Ensure you get academic advising. Ensure you sign up for the collection of courses for your faculty, social sciences, or the humanities, or a collection of courses if you come from science and technology, if you come from agriculture. Be sure to try or take some of the electives that are in conjunction with other faculties, such as gender and issues in agriculture or gender and law, if you are registered there. So the possibilities are endless. And with that, I want to say to you, what do you do in IGDS as a minor student or an undergraduate student? You can find the route to changing the game of life, and you can find the route to justice. Thank you for considering us.
Thank you so much, Dr. Barrett, for that really comprehensive overview. I think you've given us the true breadth of the Institute's offerings. And I know that as an undergraduate student, I myself took some gender courses and I did not regret it at all. It really added to my university experience. And I'm sure that our participants, are really looking forward to being with you in the classroom, seeing, what the Institute is all about. So thank you so much for that overview. And so next up, we're actually going to move on to Dr. Angelique Nixon, who's going to tell us more about the postgraduate offerings. Dr. Nixon?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to IGDS. I know that tonight is going to be really exciting because you're hearing so much, and we are really excited to meet you. And for those who are interested in postgraduate, I am here to share with you about our postgraduate offerings and our programs. And so I'm going to share a series of slides just to give you a sense of that. Great. Oops, here we go. So Jumping right in, I just have a question that I'm going to share that's really at the heart of our postgraduate and our undergraduate courses really, but especially for postgraduate studies. Is your passion working for social justice, community development, and transformation? Then IGDS postgraduate studies are for you. And so what are the things that you might be able to do with us? So we have 4 levels of our postgraduate programs. You can come in and do a diploma, which is 3 semesters, or an MSc, which is a 2-year program in gender and development studies. We also have, for those who are interested in more research and a longer time of working on what you would be interested in doing, which we're very open to lots of different possibilities. Your MPhil or PhD in interdisciplinary gender studies, which would take you on a different level of 3 to 5 years, depending on if you're part-time or full-time. And for a PhD in interdisciplinary gender studies, we're looking at 5 to 7 years. And so for what I want to share with you today is that we are really, really in a moment where I'm bringing in students for our 2020 cohort, and we're really welcoming diploma and MSc students into the program. And so you can see here a list of our graduate courses. These are the possibilities. Some of these are core courses, and you would get that information when you jump in with us. But I wanted to just give you a sense of our courses, and you can hearing about our undergraduate offerings. You can see some of our graduate courses build on that. And we really encourage those who are taking a minor to please come and join us in the graduate program. Of course, you have to apply, and we're very excited to talk with you through that process. So just to give you a little bit of sense here, you can see the years and the credit to us. Check out our website. That IGDS is really institute. We have a very Hi, I'm sorry, that was me. I'm back.
No problem, Dr. Nixon. You can continue from where you left off.
Yes, so sorry about that. I was sharing here about our 4 graduate programs. And yes, so I would really encourage you to check out our website. I'll share a little bit of that, but just to tell you that our graduate program is interdisciplinary. We are really focused in terms of regional and global training in the areas of gender studies, gender and development studies, and interdisciplinary gender studies. And you can come in and do a range of kinds of research. The great thing about our MPhil and PhD programs is that you can do, first you can come in part-time or full-time, and you can also do a practice-based research. So please ask us about that. And for the postgraduate diploma, it's 3 semesters, it's coursework. You come in and you get an amazing experience of 3 semesters of courses, engagement, action, and you get the expertise that you need, especially for those of you we know are in the field and out working and looking for that gender expertise. The postgraduate diploma is for you. And then for those who have about 2 years, if you have 2 years and you want to dedicate, again, you can be part-time or full-time. Our courses are offered in the evening, and we will have online delivery this coming academic year. For the MSc in Gender and Development Studies, it's 2 years, and you can choose a research project or an internship. Our research areas, I want to share a little bit about this. You can see a wide range here of different kinds of research areas that you can really choose what you want to do. You get to come in and investigate and ask questions. Think about the things that you want to solve. There's so many pressing issues right now. And one of the great things about IGDS is that we give you the room as a postgraduate student to come in and you say, this is the problem that I see. I want to help solve it. And we give you and offer you space to grow and develop your tools for analysis, for understanding, and to create policy changes, to create programs. You can do things that are interactive, community-based with CSOs, or working with government and civil society and other organizations, and really thinking about how do we create the change in our region, in our society, and indeed the world. And these are some of the areas that you can possibly go into. And again, these are not limited. You can come in with your own ideas about what you want to do. And the practice-based research is one way for the MPhil and PhD that you can do that. And for the MSc, which is a 2-year program, you can do that through an internship and a research and a report through that internship and create something, or you can do it through a research project, which again, we really encourage a lot of action-based learning in our courses, in our graduate courses. And we really see our graduate program is offering what we call Caribbean Venture, Voice, and Vision. And we want you to shape the world. We want to build with you. And we see our students and we see all of the folks in our IGDS family as a part of this. And so we really invite you to apply and be a part of our next cohort for this academic year coming up. One thing to note is that we have rolling admission for MPhil and PhD, so you can apply each semester or twice a year. But for the diploma and MSc, we urge you to apply now because we want you in for September. Please ask us for more information if you have any questions about these. We have so many different opportunities to support your research and field work and giving you the expertise that you need to do the kinds of research that you want to do. And so here you can see just giving you some things to think about as I move in to show you a few places where you can find some of this information on your own. Again, cutting edge problem solving, action-based research when it comes to issues related to climate change, gender-based violence, when it comes to issues of sexuality, race and ethnicity and class, when we think about issues related to the economy and public policy and wanting to create change, our IGDS graduates end up in all kinds of amazing positions and have all kinds of opportunities, from government and civil society organizing to working with organizations such as the United Nations and UN Women, UNESCO, and other really exciting places around the region. And indeed here in Trinidad and Tobago, we want to train you and give you the experience to have that gender expertise and that action-based ways to think about how do we create change and how do we do that. I also want to remind everyone that we do have really great flexibility in your study options. So for those of you who are working people, we understand that, and we create an environment where you can have that engagement and mentorship with the supervision that you need and advising that you need, as well as the flexibility in how we experience an online teaching environment to close-knit cohorts. We have a lot of different ways that IGDS Graduate Studies, I think, gives you really a lot of opportunities to build with each other. So here you can see, I wanted to share a little bit about what we call CB Plus, Caribbean Voice, Vision, Venture. We really also offer lots of different workshops as well in our graduate program for capacity building, for public engagement. We've also support different kinds of field work, attending conferences, even a study tour that we've done in the past. We do a lot of mentorship, and we also encourage graduate students to work together. And so there's a lot of that. And there's opportunities to work with our IGDS Ignite undergraduate students. And we've had our undergraduate students enter into our graduate program. That's also been really, really exciting. We have a great alumni network. And really thinking about IGDS impact, that is a really big part of our graduate studies and our own faculty research, is that we're always thinking about what is the impact of our work. And we're going to ask you those tough questions about your research. And so again, applications are open. We encourage you. Here are all of the websites you need. Please write those down. I'm sure they'll be in the chat box for you as well. Find us. You can find us very easily on the web. And just to note, for the postgraduate programs, you will have to apply directly to the School for Graduate Studies and Research. And you can do that all online. And in fact, the the fees for your applying process have been waived until the end of the month. So please do get your applications in by July 31st. Feel free to, you can see the apply there on the UE Graduate Studies website. So you can go there and find all of that information. And finally, you can find us, IGDS, on the web. I've put up here a photo of our graduate studies page. You can go on the website and look at a number of things about our programs. You can look at our courses for graduate studies. You can look at each individual for the diploma, the MSc, the MPhil, and PhD, and see which one speaks to you, some of the requirements there. And we really, in graduate studies, we think about this as you are coming and joining our program to make an impact, to improve lives and transform communities, and be a change maker with us at IGDS. And so I really hope to hear from more of you, and we really encourage you to ask questions, come and visit us on the web. Our website, join us on Facebook, like our page, Instagram and Twitter, and you can engage us there as well. And so I will hand back over to our host.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nixon. And, I have been seeing some comments coming in the chat, really speaking to what an interesting field gender really is. And so I think that you really gave a sound overview in terms of the research and the diverse areas that persons can study. And of course, one of the things I want to underscore as well is just how accessible the Institute is. You can find the Institute on all the major social media platforms. They're very active in the community. And so this is the kind of community that our prospects are going to be a part of. And so there's a lot to look forward to. So next up on our program, we're actually going to transition to hear a bit from our students. And so at this time, I want to call on 3 of our IGDS students, well, 2 current, 1 past, to share a bit more about their experience. So we're going to hear from Renuka, Marcus, and Tivia. So I'll call on Marcus first.
Hi, everyone. It's really a pleasure to be sharing my experience as part of the IGDS family. And it really is a family, because family is about learning, criticizing, all for growth, right? And I think, that is just a privilege, undervalued privilege. I want to start off by saying that I joined the IGDS family after several years of being part of the women's movement. In 2008, I joined the Rape Crisis Society of Trinidad and Tobago, where I spent almost 8 of my years volunteering at different levels, from on the board to doing projects and research. And in 2013, I was invited to do a short course with Dr. Nixon at the Institute, where I was really allowed to investigate and understand that although I was getting informal learning through my activism, that there was a lot more work that needed to be fleshed out. And that is when I started thinking about, what does gender mean for the work that I do, which is sexual assault, domestic violence, and more so child sexual abuse. And in 2016, 2017 semester, I registered and I became a student full-time. And I've always had an interest in child sexual abuse, domestic violence, and sexual assault, just because that is where my grounding and being part of the women's movement came from. And it allowed for me to understand multiple ways in which people experience safety. For example, like, you would take it for granted, but you ever ask yourself, like, why it is our fathers, or some fathers, can't hug or kiss or wish their children happy birthday, especially their sons? Or you ever ask yourself, like, why mothers prioritize like housework and cooking as part of their life and stress over it? Now, you'd be surprised how those fundamental expectations and roles given to men and women influence the way in which children experience child sexual abuse. Now, my thesis really focused on Indo-Caribbean males and how they experience child sexual abuse. And I was allowed to really engage with multiple levels of analysis of how boy children experience child sexual abuse. And it not only allowed for me to investigate that issue, but it allowed for me to do it without undermining the experiences of women, which I believe is a task that we have to be able to do as men, because all experiences are important and we cannot say that one has more value than the other. And that is a particular kind of skill that I was able to get through a gendered analysis, through sensitive mentorship. And I want to also say that being part of an institute that is heavily invested in Caribbeanness, in Caribbean academia, and activism, I was able to grow as a facilitator, as someone who could bring sound information on social issues and make impact on policy, like the draft National Youth Policy. I was able to make contributions to the Domestic Violence Amendment Act that was just recently amended. I was able to investigate and influence projects and programs at state level, at community level, and importantly, I think that the fact that IGDS is interdisciplinary gave me the skills and the tools in order to keep up with today's society. Yes, I'm invested in gender. Yes, I'm invested in children, but I was also able to add like the creative arts. I was able to bring new information, research-based information to young people through arts, through colors, through paints, and this is the kind of support, not just come and pass an exam, but come and learn to make social transformation. So that is basically the kind of support, the kind of investment that you are going to be making as you decide that you want to be able to make social change in the lives of everyone. So that's really my 2 cents and how I feel and what my experience was like being part of the Institute for Gender and Development Studies.
Thank you so much, Marcus, for sharing. And so next up, we will hear from Renuka and Anjit.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. And thank you to the IGDS for inviting me to share with you. Like I said, my name is Renuka Nanjit, and I'm from Guyana. So I'm sharing with you as a regional student. And coming into IGDS, I joined in 2016 to do my master's in gender and development, and I stayed on to do my PhD. But since I've been with the Institute, it has been a tremendous amount of personal and professional growth that I've managed to experience. I know everybody talked about mentorship, but mentorship is a very important component of the work of the Institute and the academic staff. They offer a lot of mentorship to us as graduate students, but also to undergraduate students. And some of that mentorship that we as graduate students, and I myself as a graduate student have benefited from, I'm able to pass on with the students for the Ignite program. And Dr. Barrett and Dr. Nixon and Dr. Hussain would have mentioned the Ignite program, which is really focused on undergraduate students, and not only from the social sciences or humanities. It's available to students from all faculties across campus and even open campus. And we also have affiliate students from the Hugh Wooding Law School. So if you're very interested in social justice, in activism on campus, Ignite really creates that space for learning. So you also don't have to do gender courses to be a part of Ignite. When you come to the meetings, when you participate in the activities, you're really afforded the opportunity to kind of engage in discussion and critical analysis of what is happening and how to really ask certain questions and how to really interpret what is happening, like with the recent Black Lives Matter movement that has happened in the States. And it had a lot of bearing for us here in the Caribbean. And we were able to really have very good discussions around that and what it means in a Caribbean context and what it means in Trinidad and places like Guyana that have Indo-Afro populations where race is an issue. So you coming into Ignite really gives you that opportunity to really benefit from that kind of learning. And mentorship is only one component of what you can gain by being involved with the Institute at, and especially Ignite, because at Ignite, for which I serve as coordinator, we also work a lot with other partner civil society organizations like Womantra, a network of NGOs, Silver Lining Foundations, and we have managed to provide internships for some of our members. We've also organized, managed to help some students get access exchange programs just based on their experience and the learning that has occurred with Ignite. And one of our major projects coming out of the group was the Catcalls of UE project, which focused on sexual harassment and street harassment right here on campus. But we have managed to really ignite a discussion across the country. And if you're on Instagram, feel free to follow us. We're also on Twitter at Catcalls of UE. And if you look at my background, you'll see this is from a Chalkback UE activity that we had last year during the 16 days of activism, where we invited students to come and chalk their own experiences with sexual violence and sexual harassment on campus. And we had a really good turnout. We had people sharing stories, sharing vulnerabilities, and just coming together and really offloading. And it was a tremendous experience for those of us who were involved, but not only just as beneficiaries, but also the planners, because it showed us that our work, which really started as an idea from two of our undergraduate students, Kelsey Joseph and Tia Marie, who are Ignite students, they brought the idea to us, and for us to really bring it to life and hear so many stories of violence and fear on campus, but for us to be able to put that out there and share those stories and say it to the world that this is happening on campus and really open the eyes of persons. This was really a tremendous achievement for us as a group, and also just personally for a lot of us to share our own personal stories. So that's what Ignite really does. It really creates space for mentorship, coming together and sharing. And also, it's not just for undergraduate students. As graduate students, you're able to join us in more of a mentorship capacity. So a lot of the graduate students right now are involved with Ignite, doing kind of one-on-one mentorship for different aspects of the work, depending on where persons are involved. For me personally, I came here and I joined as a student, but I have a background in public health. And when I came up to do my master's, I couldn't envision still being here today and doing my work around identity and race and politics. And that's where I am today, because I did my undergraduate research on abortion and rural women and access. And today for my PhD, I'm studying Indo-Guyanese women in labor and their politics of their participation as a way of really getting growing visibility, but also owning part of my own heritage. So coming into gender studies, and doing development work, it's tied to so many different areas. It's not only about just finding yourself in terms of finding your career, but connecting with roots too. So there's also a personal aspect of the work that we do at IGDS, and just being able to access different spaces. And the IGDS really does facilitate opportunities, because it has given myself and colleagues in my multiple opportunities. We have benefited from scholarships for the short programs like Gender and Law, Gender and Health. I myself was able, they recognized some of my skills and invited me to join the planning and coordination team for the annual International Women's Day March and rally. So it's a space where your strengths are recognized, and they really work with you to hone in and decide what you want to do, whether you want to do research, whether you want to do internships. You know, they really work with you. And especially as a migrant woman coming into a foreign space, where I really had no connections, it was a very welcoming space. And it was one that they really work with you to really help to kind of help you find your own trajectory and your own path. So again, thank you to the IGDS, and thank you for listening and also for allowing me to share.
Thank you so much, Renuka. And it was really important for us to have the diverse student voices be part of this session this evening. And so I think you've really been able to share a personal perspective on your research, on your experience, that I'm sure has been, you know, it really has been well received by our participants. And so next, I'd like to invite Ms. Tivia Collins to share as well.
Thank you very much, Christine, and hello, everyone. In my experience was actually a bit different because I did not come to the Institute with any activism background. In 2014, I was actually awarded a scholarship to pursue a master's degree at UWI, and I had quite a few options in front of me. And I think I kind of closed my eyes and selected a degree in gender and development studies. Now looking back, I don't think it was luck or chance. I really think it was destiny and fate. Now, this master's degree that I pursued in 2014, it not only expanded my knowledge, understanding how gender impacts every single aspect of our lives, but it equipped me with the tools necessary to analyze and deal with oppressive power structures, also to recognize how social injustices work within society, and to want to create change. And my MSc thesis was actually on abortion rights in Guyana. And this was the first time that I first of all ever knew through IGDS that Guyana had an abortion law. And I became curious, and curiosity is actually what sparked my interest to do the research on how after 25 years, the law was not being fully and properly implemented. So this is first off an encouragement to anybody out there who is uncertain and unsure about the next path within their life. IGDS is a good place to be and start because it provides a pathway and a guide for you to figure out what you want to do next. So you don't necessarily have to come with a plethora of experience. Currently, I am a PhD candidate at the IGDS, so clearly I love the place, so I stayed. And I am examining the intra-regional migratory experiences of women within the Anglophone Caribbean. And what I love about this space is that I can transition my work from looking at abortion rights in Guyana to looking at women and migration within the Caribbean. IGDS is a space and a place for everyone. I know people who are studying here. I know folks who are dealing with issues of race. I know others who are looking at issues of sexual harassment, etc. The space is for everyone and anyone, and once you have curiosity when it comes to research or an idea. Importantly, I want to add that the Institute lives up to its mandate, which is first and foremost to promote an environment for critical thinking. One of the first concepts I got within my first class, and I remind you, I had not done a gender studies course a single day in my life before coming to IGDS. The first class, I remember Dr. Hossain saying to us, the personal is political. And this concept and idea has stuck with me to this day. It's one from Bell Hooks, of course. And I remember thinking, how is it that I can think about my own life and how I can understand that every single thing that I do affects me not only personally, but the community and nationally and internationally. So a space for critical thinking is the IGDS. And importantly, it is a space that allows you to support students, and all of the staff at the Institute do that. Currently, I am the editorial assistant of the journal for the Institute, which is the Caribbean Review of Gender Studies. And I have had the opportunities to support many of my lecturers on various research topics and projects within Trinidad and Tobago. Through IGDS, and for the first time, I have been able to volunteer with women's rights organizations and NGOs. And I currently sit on a international organization called the Men Engage Alliance. All of this occurred because of my work within IS. And additionally, I've been able to conduct trainings and workshops for NGOs for the government of Trinidad and Tobago, and even conducted a workshop at the European Union on behalf of the IGDS. All of these opportunities contribute towards my professional and academic development, and they're not things that I would have comprehended before moving to Trinidad and joining the Institute. Now, as I continue through this program, I feel as if I am better equipped in both my personal and professional lives to address current global development challenges. And as a postgraduate program, I honestly believe at the Institute for Gender and Development Studies is the right path, because not only is it going to change your life, even if your life is not on the path of social justice and NGO work, etc., as was mine, even if you're not thinking about that, this program will change your life, will put you in the right direction, and will guide you towards success. And I think ultimately it reminds us and carries with us the light that we have to create a gender-just world and a gender-just society. And that, for me, is one of the ultimate goals of the IGDS, and being a student of the IGDS is to create this gender-just world. So in closing, I encourage anyone out there to apply for this program, even if you were like me in 2014, a bit confused and not sure what your path should be. IGDS is a space to guide you on that path, well, to help you find it and to help you carry the light as we create a gender-just world. Thank you very much, and do join us.
Thank you so much, Tivia. And, I really want to extend a special thank you to not just Tivia, but Marcus and Renuka as well, because I think that the experiences that you guys have shared with us really underscores that the Institute is an inclusive space. And so your experiences also speak to not just, the academic side, but also the career prospects and the different projects that you have been able to get involved in. And so I hope that, through your experiences, some of our prospects are able to see themselves, see the possibilities, see the options. And so I really want to thank you guys for being part of today's session. So participants, we will now transition into the question and answer segment. And, I want to assure all of you that we are committed to your academic journey and also to the student experience. And to this end, we're adjusting the format of some of our courses and programs overall, as you can expect, with the impact of COVID-19. But at the same time, we will be maintaining the quality of these courses and programs. And so there are a few things that we want you to note in this regard. Firstly, of course, we are planning for a September start, but we anticipate that teaching will be done as a hybrid, a mixture of in-person and online instruction. The integration of on-campus teaching as well as online delivery will vary from one course to the next. Some courses will be entirely online. Others, particularly those that require physical learning or exploratory activities like labs or fieldwork, will offer a combination of online and on-campus activity. We're also mindful of our regional and international students. And right now, of course, the borders in Trinidad and Tobago are closed. But what we want to share is that the campus, like the rest of the country, we continue to be guided by the local authorities on the reopening of the borders. And so as soon as there are any updates on that, we will be sharing that information with you. Additionally, all on-campus activities will be conducted in keeping with the established COVID-19 protocols for public spaces, especially physical distancing and wearing a face mask. And so we also continue to be guided by the best advice of our local health officials and adhere to all the relevant regulations to protect the health and wellness of all our students, staff, and those in our surrounding communities. Additionally, in the chat, our moderator will place some key contact information for our student services, including our financial advisory services and our halls of residence as well, and also information to reach out to the IGDS team in case you missed that earlier, as well as our admissions team. With us this afternoon, we have Mr. Kevin Snaggs, who is the manager of our student accommodation, and he's representing his division, which is the Division of Student Services and Development. So I actually want to invite Mr. Snaggs to just share with us briefly some of the support available through the division and more specifically our halls of residence. Mr. Snaggs?
Thank you, Christine. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Division of Student Services and Development, I'd like to welcome you all. My name is Kevin Snaggs. I represent the halls of residence. We have a number of different services available at the Division of Student Services. I'll start off talking about the halls of residence. On campus, we have 4 halls that are available right now for accommodation. Our applications are open for 3 halls which are on campus and 1 hall at the Joyce Gibson Innes Hall, which is now in the Mount Hope campus. Accommodation is available for both single and double occupancy students, as well as undergraduate and postgraduate students. So we encourage you to go onto the campus website and visit the Halls of Residence webpage, where you can find information on the different halls. And there you will find our online application form, which is a simple form for you to fill out. Also available through the Division of Student Services, we have the Financial Aid Office. There was a question in the chat earlier about scholarships and bursaries. The Financial Aid Office offers a number of scholarships and bursaries. Right now we have applications open for continuing students for scholarships and bursaries. Those applications have been extended until July 31st. And for first-year students, applications will open in September for first-year students to apply for scholarship and bursaries. I'd like to encourage everyone who is listening on tonight to consider applying for scholarships. Scholarships are not just for our highest performing students. A lot of our scholarships are actually geared for students who are in most need. So we have scholarships for a number of different sectors in our campus. Some of our scholarships are specific to areas. So for example, we have scholarships for different areas in Trinidad and Tobago. We have scholarships which are specific to different companies and different faculties. We also have scholarships from certain stakeholder groups, such as past student unions, such as St. Joseph Convent, for example, has a scholarship. So take an opportunity, visit the campus website and take a look at the scholarships link and see what's available in terms of financial aid that's for you. Additionally, at the Division of Student Services, we have the CAPS unit, which is the Counseling and Psychological Student Services unit, an important unit that has provided service to our students throughout the last few years and has continued to provide services virtually during this lockdown period of COVID-19. At the CAPS units, they offer psychological services, they offer counseling. They're available for people for you if you want to speak to someone. They also facilitate a number of classes, a number of workshops throughout the academic year, just to engage students, to engage different groups of students. So to reach out to you, to allow you to escape and to relax and to get the mind in focus. Additionally, we have the careers and co-curricular unit, which offers opportunities for student employment, as well as provides assistance with applying for a number of co-curricular courses that are available at the campus. We also have, as part of the DSSD, the Student Activity Center, which is located on the campus. The Student Activity Center is our main sort of hub of activities, where you can do everything from sort of hang out online, get access to rooms to have group meetings. The Guild of Students are located in the Student Activity Center. We also have all our clubs that meet in the Student Activity Center. And finally, we have all our concessionaires. So you can get something to eat at any time there at the Student Activity Center. So I encourage you to visit there once you get onto campus. Our Students Life and Development unit is a big unit that is also available in the Division of Student Services. They offer a variety of students and they cater to a number of different students. For example, they offer students for international regional, they offer services for students for international and regional students. They also offer services for postgraduate mature students. The Student Life and Development Department has time management workshops. They offer workshops on examination strategies. They offer workshops on workload management, career planning, study skills, peer tutoring, and they provide referrals to a number of other areas. They also liaise with faculties and departments regarding the special needs for students, for example, classroom accommodations, for exam accommodations, etc. And they provide services for students with special needs and those who are differently abled. So I want to encourage you all to visit our campus website and to view what's available at the Division of Student Services and Development. Our main office is located at the Student Activity Center in the Lloyd Bradford building on the first floor. Come on there, come on visit us, and we'll be happy to assist you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Snaggs. And so I hope that our prospects are assured that, you know, we are really here to support you. We have a number of support systems in place to make sure that we take care of you holistically. And, you know, we really want to underscore that as well, particularly at this time. You know, it's a time where all of us are going through a lot of different changes. We've had to change a lot of things about our livelihood, but we want to ensure that you know that, you know, we will be here to support you academically and also, you know, provide for your mental health and your wellness. So at this time, we are going to transition into our Q&A. We've gotten some really interesting questions so far. I'm going to call on Dr. Hossain to assist me with directing the questions to the different members of the IGDS team. So Dr. Hossain, if you're ready, we can jump right into it.
Okay, thanks so much. Did you want to pose any questions, or shall I start with some that I know that we're getting?
Oh, you can go ahead.
So some of the questions that we've been getting are around postgraduate study. Those are really exciting because the Institute's emphasis is on our postgraduate program and really producing graduates that can enter professional life at a senior level of expertise. So although Dr. Barrett talked about our minors, which are open to any student from any faculty, you'll find our program emphasis is really on the graduate students. Now, we had some questions. One is the transition between programs. So actually, two of our students, and both Tivia and Renuka, got distinctions in their MSCs. Both were supervised by Dr. Nixon, and they are now both in the PhD program. So they can talk to you about the experience. What I want to say is that all of our information is in our faculty booklet. And if you visit our IGDS webpage, you will see it's super friendly, super accessible, and the faculty booklet is downloadable. If you do an MSc, you will only have to pick up 1 or 2 courses as you transition from the MSc then into the MPhil or PhD level, because you would already have completed the core courses for the program. We ask you to pick up a couple additional courses because sometimes your PhD may be in a different area from your MSc. And so this gives you the chance to also pick up some electives that may be in other disciplines or departments. Maybe you want to pick up a stats elective. Maybe you want to pick up something in agriculture, you know, so that I think complements your specialization. The transition between programs, that is between diploma, MSc, MPhil, and PhD, is in our postgraduate booklet. So what I invite you to do is to download the booklet, take a look at it, and then feel welcome, if you are interested in the program, to write to us by email, and we can guide you one-on-one through the process. Another question came about practice-based research. Actually, the IGDS has one student who has completed a practice-based MPhil, and that's Anilka Sanatan, who wrote a book of non-fiction personal essays about growing up as a boy in Trinidad and Tobago in order to turn those essays into accessible content for use with boys, to talk about their experiences, and also to provide a creative basis for engaging boys and men in reflecting on and transforming masculinities. And a practice-based MPhil consists of such things as a thesis component, which is usually much smaller than it would be Film, and then a creative component. And that creative component could be anything. It could be visual art, it could be a play, it could be stories, it could be an action research project that's engaging in social change. And we really welcome practice-based research because it's experimental, it's innovative, and that's something that we get excited by when students bring it to us. And I just want to say one thing, as faculty, we always kind of focus on what we bring to the students. And for those of us, I began to teach at the Institute in 2005. So it's been 15 years. Actually, I first started Introduction to Women's Studies in 2001. So it's been almost 20. But we focus on what we bring to the students. But I want to emphasize how important it is for us to acknowledge what the students bring to us. When students bring their interest to us, we as an institute grow from that. And that's one of the things we want to emphasize. We see ourselves as learning as much from our students in many ways as they learn from us, but different things. We also learn how to grow as an institute, how best to advise you, and interesting research such as in relation to practice-based research is one of those ways that we grow. There are some questions coming in about scholarships. And what I'd like to say is that we have our excellent administrative assistant to the graduate program, Asha Innes. We can share her contacts with you, or you can look her up on the directory. And if you are a prospective student, Asha will hold your hand and guide you through step by step through all of your questions, from application to enrollment to looking for the scholarships that you can access. We've had a number of scholarship students, and the stronger your proposal is, the more likely you are to be able to access scholarships, because the university is looking for what's innovative too. So please contact us if that's a question that you have as well. And I'm open to any others that come from any other students.
Sure. The next question I'm seeing, Dr. Hussain, is regarding declaring a minor. Our prospect is asking, how do you go about declaring a minor, and in what year do you declare your minor?
So I wonder if Dr. Barrett would like to answer that.
Dr. Barrett, can I just ask you to unmute your mic? Thank you.
I apologize. I'm so excited to tell you all about it that I forgot to attend to the technology. As I was saying, the first thing you must do is check your faculty requirements. You must declare your minor in the second semester of your second year for some students, or the first semester of your final year for other students. So it's very important that you go into your faculty where you are registered as a major student, and there you will register or declare your minor. As I said earlier, any student is welcome to do a minor or a collection of elective courses depending on how much space you have in your program. But for your minor, you must ensure that you have your 5 courses, all adding up to 15 credits. You have your 2 core and your additional electives. Once you have completed these, you go into your faculty and you say, I'm doing a minor in gender studies. Just as a reminder, go to our website. We have all of the information laid out there, and you can have a reminder. When you come into our classes, we also register you as one of our minors. So what's a fun thing is, if you get really busy doing your schoolwork and the semester is progressing, we can say, I see that you are interested in doing a minor with us. Remember to declare your minor at the end of your second or at the beginning of your first year.
Thank you so much, Dr. Barrett. Dr. Hussain, we have an interesting question here, and I'm not sure how we'd want to tackle it, but this person is asking, can I tailor a postgraduate IGDS master's into visual art presentation as a thesis? Is that possible?
Yes, I think it is possible, but there are very specific requirements for an MSc thesis. And the thing about an MSc is it's actually quite a small degree in terms of the research part of it, Really, an MSc is meant to be a coursework-based degree, and then you write a small research project or you do a small internship at the end. So I think what we would have to do, if you're interested, is understand your project and understand what you want to do. However, the MSc does require you to write either a research project, a research, it's not called a thesis, and that research project is about 20,000 words, or you can do an internship with an organization, and when you write your internship report, it can be 12,000 words. And we've had students do internships with state organizations, with CSOs, civil society organizations, and even with the University of the West Indies Library, and then post about it and write about it. I want you to keep in mind, though, that an MSc is less about the research that you do than your ability to show the capacity to do research. And that's why the project asks you to simply, in a few thousand words for each chapter, to be able to show what your questions are, what your approach was, what literature review you used, and so on. It's less about producing new research than it is about showing your capacity to do it, and therefore being able to move on to a research level. However, I just do want to say, contact us. Email myself, email Dr. Nixon, email Dr. Barrett. We are super responsive, and we would be willing to discuss your options with you. Similar for the students who want to register for a minor, as Dr. Barrett said, even though we encourage you to go to your faculty to register for a minor, if you come to us by email or even to the office and you let us know that you want to register for the minor, again, we will help hold your hand through the process, so that, because we know how difficult sometimes managing administrative processes can be, and we're willing to be here to help you get through in that way.
Okay, great. So next question, we actually had some questions that were submitted when persons registered to attend this session. And so the first question here is, the LGBTQIA community has always found safe spaces online. Does the atmosphere and courses at the IGDS complement the safe haven vibe in their pedagogy? So I'm assuming this person wants to know a little bit more about, the inclusivity of the Institute.
Well, actually, I'd like the students who have been in our classes, so Tivia and Renuka, to take these, because if you're a student, you really get the S from the other students. And so I'd like to give them a chance to answer that question first.
Sure.
Tivia, would you like to go?
No problem. I find that to be a very interesting question, but the simple answer is yes, of course. IGDS is a very safe space for the queer community. It has continued to be that space. As far as I know, from the legacy of IGDS, it has always been safe. It has always been welcoming to everyone. And I think that is, of course, in keeping with its feminist mandate to, be accepting and open to everyone. And of course, to fight for the rights for people within the LGBT community. So my simple answer is, of course, yes, it is a very safe space.
Okay, I'll just build on Tivia's answer. Thanks, Tivia. We at IGDS, it always has opportunities for queer students. Of course, we have queer students in our midst in Ignite, in our cohorts, but also IGDS, the work of IGDS through projects. So I know Dr. Hussain might talk about the Sexual Culture of Justice project, which I myself have I was able to volunteer for, works a lot with queer organizations, women's organizations. So it's not only about creating safe spaces for students, but really working at multiple levels to embrace the community and create safe spaces for the community. So I'll agree with Tivia to say, yes, it is a very inclusive and very welcoming space.
Thanks to you both. Our next question, Dr. Hussain, This person has read that gender studies exist in somewhere between biology and the social sciences. Is this true?
Fascinating question. Whoever this is, would love to have them in class. The truth is that gender is a social construct, like race, like class. And so even though we have biological bodies and our bodies are reproductive bodies or they're sexual bodies or they're, we experience our bodies based on our racial biology, our phenotype, our, the ways that our bodies are constructed, depending on our ethnicity, for example. So even though we live in our bodies, the value, the meaning, the unequal power, the unequal status, the struggles that we have depending on our bodies and how we must live them are socially constructed. And so it's not so much that gender is between biology and social constructionism. It's that our bodies are hugely biological, but how we see them, value them, police them, empower them, and so on, whether we think that women should have particular bodies or men should have others, or whether we think that some bodies should be reproductive bodies and others should not, or not too much, or not if they're dependent on the state. All of those biological experiences come to have meaning and value in our society. And that's what gender studies, because we want to give people equitable access to human rights, non-discrimination, sustainability, and their aspirations, regardless of the bodies that they do have.
Thank you so very much for that. And I really think that answers the question quite succinctly. Our next question, I'm interested in international relations and gender, and I'm not sure what my career prospects could be. Could you tell me how the fields may overlap or intersect, if at all?
Dr. Barrett, you want to take this one?
Sure, definitely. First, let me say we've had students with a similar interest. So if you come in, you may encounter students or you may encounter some of our past students who have moved on to the postgraduate level. What is the intersection between international relations and gender studies? First of all, what you have that opportunity through our courses to, again, explore the foundations of relations that take place in the core and the periphery. As you know, that's the basis of international relations understanding. So when you come to us, you are able to marry a deeper understanding. We take you through all of those structures that you learn about in IR, all of those ideologies, all of those notions that say this is how the world works, this is how the globe functions in relation to each other, this is how power manifests, this is how states come to being. Gender studies will then allow you to understand why these things are retained. Why are they valued? Dr. Hossain just spoke about valuation as it relates to the body and embodiment. Well, here you get to understand how value extends to these mechanisms, these systems, these ways that we have organized our world. So you may be able to veer into areas like migration, or as Tivia Collins did, and she would have spoken to you. You may be able to enter into places like areas like diplomacy, or even corporate communications. We have other students who would have done that. You may even be able to advise in terms of planning, in terms of cultural studies. You have that opportunity because you get a broader understanding. Why are these structures in place? Gender studies helps you explain power. So come on over to us. We have other students just like you. You can talk to us, you can talk to them, and you will see how things gel together for you.
Thank
Indeed,
you.
that's an excellent question, because we want to emphasize that if you're registered in other postgraduate programs, so say youth and child policy or IR, taking a gender course helps you give you a lens on the discipline that you're otherwise engaging in, and then enables you to bring some of those questions to that field. And so gender actually fits really well with IR. In fact, I'm thinking we have students who are looking at global Islam, We have students who from IR, Dr. Nixon is supervising a student who's looking at reparations. And we've also supervised students who are looking at the creation of the state and the nation state in the Caribbean, all IR questions, all of which we're supervising.
Thank you so much. Our next question is really going into the whole realm of COVID-19 and the impact. And this student is saying, I was really excited to come to IGDS and get involved in activism and participate in many of the physical events. With COVID, how will we still be activists, but virtually?
I'm going to let Renuka answer a little bit about that, because she has been talking with the undergraduate students in the Ignite program about how they may be thinking about their activism in catcalls of UE. But I do want to tell the student, you know, again, IGDS's work is ongoing in terms of our commitment to social justice, but we also rely on the innovations and the ideas that the students bring. So we don't want you to just come and say, well, how are you doing this? We want you to come and say, listen, have you thought about doing it this way? And we go, that's awesome, let's do it that way. And suddenly the Institute is taking one of your ideas and you are able to see us all kind of building on that. And so I want to encourage students to not feel like you're just coming to us for the answers that we navigate during this time, that you are coming to us to be students and partners, to be guided and mentored for us to learn how to find the answers together for how we should be reaching out at this time. And I just want to hand over to Renuka to talk a little bit about the online activism.
Thank you, Dr. Hussain. And I'd just like to reinforce the point that a lot of our work at Ignite is really student-driven and student-led. So the Catcalls of UE project is actually led by undergraduate students. And of course, we're there to provide the mentorship and all sorts and different types of support. And in the same vein, we've migrated a lot of our work to really engaging on Twitter and Instagram, and more so Instagram. And given the limitations that we have right now, a lot of our discussion, a lot of our around our work is happening in our small group. But as we're doing that, and as we are actually in our planning phase for the next academic year, we have been working with other student groups, with the Guild, to plan training and capacity building sessions for other student groups on campus, whether it's whether you're doing social justice work only, whether you're a cultural group or so. So we're taking the work outside of just doing direct outreach on campus to really more direct engagement with student groups. So if you're a part of a student group, or you know a student group who's be interested or who might be interested in doing work around gender, justice, human rights, these are opportunities to really reach out to us and engage us, because we welcome all opportunities. We do work closely with Pride UE. We've supported several of their events. I know they're in the midst of Pride right now, doing all walks, and they have their concluding their major event coming up. And Ignite has always been there to, whether we're sharing stories, whether we're, you know, participating in virtual forums or so, the opportunities are there. So it's about us really moving to see how we can really use our brand of cyber feminisms to really translate those messages. And it doesn't necessarily always have to be, oh, we're planning a social media discussion, we're doing a live discussion or so. Sometimes it's just engaging in the comment section. Sometimes it's just making a post and asking persons for feedback on stories, whether it's about catcalling, whether it's you think like anti-Blackness is a major issue within the Indo-Caribbean community or within Trinidad. So these are different ways. And like I said earlier, we welcome ideas for different opportunities to really expand our reach and our work. And also, shameless plug, I know Dr. Barrett might speak about this, might take the opportunity to speak about this, but there's also the social media and gender course. There's a whole gender course on social media and really how to utilize it. So maybe this might be a good opportunity to just throw it over to Dr. Barrett, who can really share a little bit with us on that.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. Thank you, Renuka. Now, in this course, so through Ignite and through other activities, you get an opportunity to engage. And what social media agenda will do is that you will see the expanse, the options open to you as you get exposed to cyber feminisms, Caribbean cyber feminisms in particular, as you get exposed to how to utilize the tools, the functions to contend with the limits of social media, the opportunities of social media, you then see that as a space beyond social media. I mean, we're really operating in the online environment. You get to in that course, understand the possibilities for activism, for engagement. Sometimes your advocacy may be really interpersonal interaction, as Renuka was just saying. You're in a group, you get to talk to like-minded people, or you get to reach out to small, medium, and large groups. So social media and gender is a course that then lets you see not only how we are represented or not only how politics unfold, but here's a space where you can explore the opportunities for the very same thing you're looking forward to. And then you can engage simultaneously with Ignite and with other activities that we do and put it all into practice. So you have a holistic experience to really come to, and we encourage you to come in and share your ideas with us.
Thank you so much, colleagues. Our next question has to do with our graduate level programs. And this student is asking, on average, what is the class size like? And is there a lot of group work involved at the master's level? Dr. Hossain?
Our class sizes tend to be around 10 to 15 students in a class. Sometimes we may get students from other programs on the campus, and that's always excellent because then you're getting students who are different from gender students, and so the conversation is really good. Our class sizes tend not to be larger than 20 students. And also the relationship that you're able to build with us is quite often very one-on-one. And so we all come to know each other well. We share food in the classes. We really build a family atmosphere for learning. The group work is often limited. You might have one assignment for the term. Because at the graduate level, we're focusing on some key skills. You need to be able to do some basic research. You need to be able to, excel in your writing. This is the time to do that. And so you get a lot of guidance in terms of things like annotated bibliographies, literature reviews, and critical analysis of what you read. And so our emphasis is not so much on group work as much as it is on building the core skills that you will need to complete an MSc project. So along the way, if in an MSc project, you need to have a literature review, a conceptual framework, a methodology, and so on, along the way, we're going to be teaching you, this assignment is for you to learn how to literature review. This assignment is for you to understand what a conceptual framework. And so the assignments throughout the courses, throughout the years of the MSc, for example, build your skills so that when you get to that point in your thesis, you've done a lot of the groundwork already in your area. And so the group work is quite limited because of the skills that we're trying to teach. Although, of course, we may get an assignment, a term that is group oriented.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hossain. Our next question is actually about GATE funding. So are you able to give us just an overview in terms of which courses or all the programs GATE funded?
Yeah, just to say that all the programs are GATE funded. And so you are welcome to contact the university and to follow up once you have decided to apply to gender studies with accessing GATE funding.
Okay, great. And I just want to add, of course, because understanding we do have non-nationals who may be viewing. So nationally here in Trinidad and Tobago, we have a program called GATE, which is our government assistance for tuition for higher education. So just to let our national students know that yes, the programs here are GATE funded. Our next question is actually for our students, just asking them how was their mental health and were they given enough support from the Institute through their journey, and what was that like? I suppose the student is worried about if the course load is going to be heavy and if they're going to be able to get through it. So students, do you want to share with us a little bit more about that part of the experience?
We haven't heard from Marcus in a while. Maybe we'd like to hear what he says, having completed the MSc.
Yes, definitely.
So, so for me, one, going into the program, and the fact that the program pushes boundaries around the comfort that you live in, the privilege that you live in, that is one of the things in that in terms of mental health you're allowed to challenge. However, when you are in a program that has small spaces, small classrooms, and dedicated faculty, you're allowed to throw questions out within the classroom as well as outside of the classroom. Of course, scheduling appointments and all of that, but you have a space where you're allowed to disclose your discomfort, explain your life situations, and allow for that to be either part of the academic process or part of the personal growth. Um, there were times when my own personal life, my own family life, resonated into the classroom, and I was allowed to explore that deeply, both being able to give, both being able to have a answer or some sort of response as to why certain things exist in my life, as well as being guided as to, you know, as to being supported as to this is the space that allows for this kind of change, and it's all done healthy, it's all done in a supportive manner that has allowed for me to challenge both schooling as a space that challenges your mental health, as well as a space that allows for you to bring the personal into a forum that you challenge. And to be quite frank, I mean, you're going to be in a space that attempts to understand who you are and where you come from. I have seen students who were pregnant in my cohort and was given opportunities to succeed. The access to completing was was both, discussed with students and faculty. Your mental health is definitely a priority. Every class, especially with Dr. Nixon, she does check-ins. How are you feeling? How was your assignments before? Are you having problems? There's always like a recap after Dr. Hussein's class. Was it too much? Was it not enough? What did it do for you? And really and truly, that is the experience of gender. It is really challenging your comfort level, your mental health, and putting you in places of being resilient for living life.
Thank you for that, Marcus. And I'm sure that for our participants who are viewing, of course, that is really an important part of student life. It's important for them to know that they have that support, that the courses that they're going to take in the institute not only is going to help push them academically, but also push them into spaces that might make you a little bit uncomfortable, but it's going to stretch you intellectually, and it's really going to help shape a more broader worldview. And so I think that's really one of the real benefits of pursuing studies in this area. So our next question, actually, Dr. Hussein, is for someone who is unsure specifically what area of research they want to do. So the question is, I have a broad interest in research in gender. I'm thinking about perhaps an MPhil or a PhD. Would the Institute be able to help me shape or refine that area of research that I want to pursue?
Definitely. Quite often students come in with an idea of what they want to do actually, and then over time through doing our courses, they come up with very different ideas for what they're interested in. And that's because you're being introduced to knowledge that you had not been introduced to before. Sometimes it's theoretical, sometimes it's thematic, sometimes it's historical, and sometimes it's even based on us discussing the kinds of advocacy and the issues that the IGDS are involved in. Inevitably, many students come in at the MSc level in particular, and over the course of the period that they're there, change their interest and their ideas. And actually, we welcome that. I did the same in my PhD. I know many other students who did that, and it means that you're growing. For those students who have 3 or 4 areas that they're interested in, what we enable you to courses is as you do your assignments, you can explore those themes and areas through your assignments. So there might be an area you're interested in. We'll say, okay, this assignment is getting you to think about what a literature review would be on your topic. How do you write it? You know, where do you go for sources and so on? And so you're able to explore that. So by the time you get to a thesis level, even in an MPhil or PhD, you've done so many practice versions of engaging with the topic that you're interested in. Dr. Barrett is excellent at making students do conceptual maps and to think through the ideas that are defining their approach and the assumptions and the hunches, that you go through a rigorous process of testing your ideas and testing your interests. And so by the time you get to the project stage or the thesis writing stage, you're usually quite certain about what you want to study in the end. And I think you should be open and welcome that process.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hossain. So we're actually coming to the end of our session. I think we've had some really interesting questions, really engaging discussion. And so at this point, Dr. Hossain, I want to invite you to share some closing remarks and to also open the floor for any comments from any of the other participants.
So I'd like to thank everyone for joining our virtual open day. Just to say that the IGDS is full of young, not so young, depending on what your idea of young is, but young, super passionate, very committed, and faculty who really take an interest in your well-being. Where we take the time to talk to you, we take the time to listen, we take the time to look after you in multiple ways, whether you're just even one student doing our undergraduate degree or in our postgraduate program. And remember, there are diploma, MSc, MPhil, and PhD levels at which you can apply. I'd like to send all students to our website. Our website is excellent, it's thorough, it's beautiful, and we hope it's easy to navigate. And there you can get so much information about the work that we do. You could also check out our Facebook page, which tells you a lot about what's going on with us and the ways that we're continuing to engage in advocacy and activism. I want to invite students to contact the faculty of the IGDS, Dr. Nixon, Dr. Barrett, and myself, and to feel welcome to discuss your intellectual trajectory, your academic concerns, and even the ways that you would, as Tivia said, like to link your personal with your intellectual and your political. I want to leave some room for Dr. Barrett to end, but I do want to say Dr. Barrett and myself, as well as Marcus, Tivia, and Renuka, are all graduates of the IGDS. And I joined the Institute in 1997. I have never found any place in the world where you could grow as much as I was able to grow, both get guidance and get autonomy and be able to bring your own ideas and be pushed in the ways that you want a good education to push you and to introduce you to theory and to give you the kinds of skills that can cross everything from grassroots mobilization of marches to high-level expertise around policy. And for me, that's what you get. You don't just get a course and you don't just get a program. You get a legacy that we are walking in, and a legacy that we are encouraging students to carry with them into their own work and into their own world. And that's a UE legacy of transforming the Caribbean, and it is an IGDS legacy of transforming the Caribbean. And so when you come to us, you get all of that, I think, depending on what you want to take out of the program and also what you want to bring. And so we grow through you, you grow through us. I do want to say, keep an eye on the application deadlines, and I then turn it over to Dr. Barrett.
Thank you, Dr. Hossain, and I agree with you. As a graduate myself, I remember my first days in IGDS. I came from a background in communication, journalism, and political science. I had a hunch about gendered relations and conflict, and I learned so much. My degree transformed, my focus transformed, my knowledge transformed, and I'm here today. So just as the best final word is always a sort of a testimony of the experience that I had with those who were here and how I was able to expand my own knowledge. But But as a final statement for both undergraduate and postgraduate, I would say the IGDS gives you an opportunity to explore some of those things that are personal, some of those things that are political, and some of those things that really give you that edge to your degree at the undergraduate level in particular, or give you that edge professionally. You want to be, you're a psychologist, you're a sociologist, you whatever you may be involved in, it really gives you depth. So I am very happy that you joined us this evening. I encourage you to write us, as we've been asking you to contact us. And as this process unfolds, I've been receiving emails from prospective students who ask about their projects, ask about their ideas, ask about who they may explore things with. So you are very welcome to do so, and you are very welcome to start that process of thinking. Of course, give yourself room. We spoke about mental health. Give yourself room to really explore the experience, to live it as it unfolds. We will be communicating differently as we move to the new academic year, but you have a space in the IGDS to really and truly learn as you go and grow as you learn. So thank you so much. Contact us anytime. Go to our website, and anything you don't understand, contact us. Do have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Dr. Barrett and Dr. Hossain. Just before we wrap, I saw one late question come in that I want to just throw out to Dr. Hossain before we close. Actually, this participant was asking, you mentioned earlier that the IGDS is a cross-campus institute. So what is the interaction like between us here at St. Augustine as well as with the other campuses? And I thought it was an interesting and important question to ask. Dr.
It is an excellent question. And in many of our graduate courses in particular, we have guest lectures from the other faculty on the other campuses. And in a number of our courses, we're actually moving towards harmonizing. So the course you get in St. Augustine mirrors the course you get in Cave Hill or in Mona, and will be team taught. So what I can say that for sure you will get is access to the faculty across the 3 campuses as we continue to develop the harmonization of the IGDS as one regional institute, giving access to our students as much as we can across the region.
Thank you so much. So thanks to all our panelists and thanks to all our participants for being with us this evening. I hope that we were able to address your concerns and your many questions. After this session, you will receive an email from us that will share contact information for the faculty at IGDS, and so you can liaise with them directly for anything additional that you would like to find out. So tonight's session is the first in the series of 4 virtual open days featuring our institutes and centers. We have a session tomorrow with the Seismic Research Center to learn about their research programs at the postgraduate level. And so these sessions follow a series of virtual open days from our 8 faculties, and also sessions targeted for our undergraduate and postgraduate students. You can access all those sessions, that is the recordings of those sessions, on the UWI St. Augustine's YouTube channel. So we will also be hosting another postgraduate admission session on July 27th, where you'll be able to hear more about the application process. So to participate in any of these sessions, visit us on Facebook, where you'll see the updates and also the registration link. It has been my pleasure to host you this evening, and look out for more details and additional resources. So from all of us here at UWI St. Augustine, we look forward very much to welcoming you to our campus. We invite you to be a game changer and to be UWI. Thank you and good evening.